My name is Rousey. I'm driving a Mercedes-Benz.
What's your name, kid?
I'm a Mercedes-Benz.
Hello, I'm Happy097. If you clicked on this video, then that means you're interested in seeing a LEGO Deltarune ideas set. I said that wrong, but we're going to move on. I'm sure by now, if you're part of the Deltarune community, you've probably very likely seen a lot of different LEGO Deltarune sets on LEGO Ideas. Most notably, there's the Forest of Scarlet and something or other, Hopes and Dreams probably, I don't remember. And then there's the one that's Battle Against the Roaring Knight. Both of these sets are really good, and I would recommend that while you go support mine, you also go support theirs as well, especially since they have more supporters already. But you might be asking, well, why should I support their sets and yours too? You know, what do you offer? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. As great as these two sets are, I do feel they both lack something crucial, I think, for consideration in a LEGO Ideas set. First off, I plan to follow the fan gamer rules around merchandising. Mainly, one of the big ones is that they don't really make any merchandise of Lighteners. Which, I know what you're thinking, really? A LEGO set for Deltarune without Chris or Susie? Yeah, that's pretty accurate. This doesn't mean that I'm not going to be making them at all, but we'll get to that later. The reason I'm trying to follow the fan gamer rules, though, is because ultimately, if Toby Fox is going to allow LEGO to use the IP, it needs to follow certain rules. Specifically, the rules that Toby Fox himself has set up. What you really want to know is, what is the set? So, without further ado, I introduce to you Castletown. Now, I spent quite a bit of work on this set, mainly because, a lot of the build designs are very hard to pull off. Turns out that pixel art isn't super transferable into LEGO form. Who would have knew? Who would have thought? But regardless, I did my best, or at least the best I could do, to recreate faithfully these scenes. First, let's go over the minifigures. I'm going off the top of my head because I don't have my list of minifigures with me, so I'm guessing here. Disclaimer. If you're looking through these minifigure lists and you're thinking, man, I wish they'd included this minifigure from Chapter 2, 3, or 4. Why didn't they? I'll get to that later. Trust me. But we're going to start with rules. Rules card was someone who I wanted to do better than this, mainly with the hair, but it was extremely difficult to pull it off. I also was internally debating whether or not I should give him Lego eyes or his normal eyes. In the end, I chose to do the Lego-ified version because I feel like that's what Lego themselves would do, but I'm not happy with it. I'm not. Overall, this figure I think is an epitome to the fact that I kind of got lazy. But next up is definitely not, and that's Lancer. Boy, I love Lancer. He's just a silly little boy. And well, realistically, I think that LEGO should make a new piece for the hood, or more accurately, one piece from LEGO Fortnite. Overall, it's very simple. Obviously, they would need to create a new torso piece. What I'm using in the images here is just a ball, then with arm joints. But I think it would work very well, and also would allow LEGO to make more cutesy type characters in the future. Moving on, we have Rousey, who also would need a new hair hat combo piece, but I think it would also pay off purely because it looked really cute. I tried my best to recreate Rousey faithfully. I was inspired by the design from another creator who I'm showing on screen. I wanted to do that headpiece, but I can't because Mechabricks has not updated yet their profile, so that I can't use that piece. It doesn't exist in Mechabricks yet. Very frequently I'm coming across the, well, it doesn't exist in Mechabricks yet problem, and it's getting a little frustrating. But I'm not going to download a new program when I have something I can use in a web browser on my iPad. Scrubs, please, come back! We need you! For those out of the loop, Scrubs is the guy who makes Mechabricks and runs it. I'm pretty sure he's the only person who's running it. So, as you can see with Rousey's design, I started changing things up a bit from the sprite design to the final. Especially since I was having trouble with drawing these out and then thinking to myself, this just looks incredibly bland on a LEGO minifigure. I want to do something about that, and so I did. I started adding in little details, and you notice this with other characters as well as we move onwards. I try and add a little bit more detail than what was originally included on the Pixel Sprite, first off because Pixel Sprites can't include that much detail, and secondly because I just feel like it makes for a better minifigure. I'm not great, but I try. Top Chef should be after Rousey. Top Chef was an interesting case because obviously he needs a brand new face, and I can't make new pieces. But I did the next best thing, which was this. This obviously fake head made out of a bunch of different bricks and then with the decal plastered on top of it. It's the best I can do, okay? You can't blame me. Anyway, yeah, I tried to do a bit more with the design than what was just done in Deltarune, you know, tried to make it feel more like overall. But yeah, that's what I did with it. Seams next. I don't like what I did for Seam. I think that they should use one of the cat head pieces, either from Harry Potter or from video. Regardless, I think they should utilize an actual cat head mold instead of what I did. What I did was more of an act of desperation than anything else because Mecha Bricks didn't have the head molds that I needed, neither from Harry Potter nor from video. They exist, but they're not updated, and it's driving me crazy. And so I had to improvise. I had to add in, you know, just a normal head and then find some other pieces that would work well with it. Ironically, this little piece combination I came up with does work. It just isn't perfect. Overall, I used a lot of inspiration from the plushies because the plush is the best way to get a full body picture. That's why I chose to give him the robe that goes all the way down, because that's what was shown in the plushie, and that's the only accurate depiction I have of Seam. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I did do a lot more detailing just of my own thoughts of what it should look like. You can probably notice that quite a bit throughout the design and stuff. I changed things up based on what I thought it was supposed to look like, or would more accurately fit a minifigure. Now we can move on to Jigsaw Joe. Jigsaw Joe was a fun little guy. He's entirely brick built. You can actually look at him and just see what pieces I used. I don't know if all those pieces exist in that color. I don't know if that color is even still manufactured. Nope, no, I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty sure the creator sets still have them. Anyways, this is Jigsaw Joe. Obviously I used a lot of custom printed pieces to create his face. And that's because there's no way to get all the different angles of his body and include a face without, you know, printing it on different pieces. But I tried my best to keep that number low, and I hope I achieved a look. There's not really much more I can say about it. Now you might be wondering, where's Clover? Because Clover also was in the Party Dojo with Jigsaw Joe. So where are they? They're not in the set. I couldn't figure out a way to make them that would also fit the scale of the Party Dojo, and so I just didn't include them. Don't blame me. I couldn't. I'm not that great of a builder. Malleus. I knew I was forgetting somebody. It was Malleus that I'm forgetting. Malleus is the hammer that you meet at the start of the game. I'm not super happy with their face. I think I could have done it a little better, but I didn't. I didn't really get a good picture of it, which I should have, but I did include a feature where you can remove one of the pegs out of his back, and his head hammer will come down, and you can, you know, swing it around. Because that's what all kids really want. Like I said, I'm not a master builder, so I'm sure somebody else could have done this better, but I didn't, so whoopsie. That should leave us finally with Jevil. Now, everyone loves Jevil. Chaos. Chaos! I'm sure they do. I spent several weeks trying to fight him. Overall, his design is ironically the one that plagued me the most, because I was trying to figure out how to make it look right, and there's just no way that I could figure out that was making it look right. And he was really the breaking point for me in, like, okay, I need to just fully go in on making them more detailed than the sprites. There's just not much I can do there. The designs are not busy enough. See, this is why I was doing Arcane minifigures. They look detailed. It's really two ends of the spectrum. Arcane's too detailed. This is not detailed enough. Let's focus on the actual build itself, shall we? We'll start with Top Chef Bakery. The Top Chef Bakery was an interesting challenge. I initially wanted to make sure that the counter was big enough that you could fit Malleus in. I don't know if it's big enough that you could fit Malleus in. I didn't try, and I'm not going to. It was not something I wanted to figure out. But I did try and include a counter, or two counters specifically. So split in half, you know. You can have bakeries on both sides. I understand it's not the most accurate to what the bakery actually looked like, but there wasn't much I could do in this scenario. Then we have the cafe. The cafe was the first actual build I made, and it was arguably the most challenging to figure out. I had to do a lot of different things trying to figure out how to get that curvature shape, until I eventually settled on this sort of technique where I'm putting bricks halfway down, basically building from the side. And it worked surprisingly well. I managed to get it to line up nearly perfectly with the actual set itself, and so it just looks really well done, and I'm surprised I managed to pull that off. Even more surprised I managed to get the roof right, too. I really thought that was going to fail, but lo and behold, it actually ended up working out perfectly. I was able to get all the different angles to work together, and I'm glad for that. I did not think that would happen. The inside is rather cramped and small because, again, there's not much that I could do. I wanted to include the jukebox, but there just wasn't enough space, which is going to be a reoccurring problem throughout all these sets. Well, except for Theme Shop. But yeah, outside of that, I really do like how the set came out, and I feel like it looks really well. And so that's the cafe. I did want to include Splotch originally in the set, but I couldn't figure out how to do his head, and so I pushed that off onto future me, for reasons that I'll get to later. Then we have Theme Shop. Theme Shop is different from all the others because unlike the others, which has an open back that you can look at, because this is a shop, I didn't feel like I could actually do that really well. And so instead of having an open back that you can interact with the shop at, which honestly I still probably could have done if I was clever about it, I made it so that the front is removable. And so you can take off the front of the shop where the door is, and you can interact with Sean that way. And here's a nice little image recreation of Sean's shop using just the actual build itself. So it's the most accurate set by far. Outside of that, obviously there's not much more I can talk about in terms of detail. You really see all of it just in the shop itself. I tried my best to recreate the design. I kind of wanted to include 10 strings at one point, but I'm not going to try and figure out that whole mess with mecha bricks and moving the wires. Which brings us finally to the Party Dojo. The sign was a nightmare to make, not because it's inherently difficult, but because every time I'd start trying to do it, my saving feature would bug out and I wouldn't be able to save it anymore, and so I'd have to reload the page and all my progress would be undone. This happened 3 times. It was not fun, and I still couldn't figure out how to get the fist to be added on. Outside of the rest of it, though, I feel like the build itself translated very well into Lego form. I managed to get it fairly nice. I wanted to include the disco from the top. Once again, I couldn't figure out how to. So that's something that if this ever becomes an official Lego set, Lego will have to figure out themselves how to do. I also kind of wanted to include the Rousey dummy there, but I went against it just purely on the basis of I know no wanna. But I did include part of Clover's bed. You might be thinking, wow, it's missing like half of the Clover. That's because I needed to put it in the corner so that there was space to put people in there, and I couldn't put that part in the corner without cutting off a bit of it. So I thought to myself, it was better to have something than to have nothing at all. If you guys would really like me to add Clover, make sure to drop a comment letting me know that you would like to see Clover at some point. That's not going to be a stretch goal or anything, we'll get to that. That will just be if I get enough support saying, hey, where's Clover? I'll add Clover. So with that, all that's really left is the castle itself, which as you can see is obviously just a facade. There is no interior, because that is reserved for the stretch goals. What are stretch goals, I hear you asking? That's easy. See, instead of just giving you everything all at once, I'm going to add them in as updates. So when we reach certain milestones of support on LEGO Ideas, I will give you more things to gain. And hey, here's the bright side about stretch goals. I don't have all of them made. So, if you guys rapidly support the set at a rate at which I cannot keep up with, you can make me look like a fool by not having the rewards ready already. Our first stretch goal is going to be at 250 supporters. I will reveal King's Prison with the king himself from Chapter 1, which I know is what everyone is most excited for. At 500 supporters, I will reveal Queen and Queen's Room, and perhaps a little straggler who came along for the ride. And then at 1,000 supporters, I will also reveal Chris and Susie. And this is the end of me showing off the little images with, the blacked out version of the character, because everything from here on out I have not yet made. I'm waiting to actually publish the set to make these, or more accurately, I'm publishing the set so it's out there before all the hype for Deltarune is just completely gone, which it probably already is. I'm always late to the party on these things. Chaos, chaos! What else do I have planned but not yet made? Well, obviously I want to include a lot of the key characters from Chapter 2, 3, and 4 in some capacity. And yes, this includes characters who don't show up in Castletown. You should have already gathered that by the fact that I included Jevon. But moving forward, here's what we will be adding. We will be adding the TV time station as well as the green room from Chapter 3. That will be at 1,750 supporters. You might be thinking, wow, that's such a jump. Well, I was initially considering 2,000. I need to give myself some room to breathe, you know? I need to see myself watching that number go up and going, oh no, they're going to hit that much faster than I thought, and then make it really quickly. That will include Ram, though, because everyone loves Ram. He's the favorite. I know he is. I'm certain of it. You might be wondering, where's Noober from Chapter 2? You don't get Noober. You didn't recruit everyone into the village. I'm messing with you. Noober will be coming as well in the next Chapter 2 expansion, which will be the, I always forget, Sweet Captain Cake Shop, I believe is what it's called. I always forget the name. But it's gonna have those 3 little robot guys, and Noober, because everyone loves Noober. That stretch goal will be 2,500 supporters. Tenna himself will also be a stretch goal. At 3,250, I will reveal Tenna. The reason I'm doing Tenna himself as his own alone stretch goal is because Tenna is just so physically massive that he's also going to be a build. And so, I'm saving myself the stress and the pain. Tenna is just going to stand alone by himself as a stretch goal. Also, that head is going to be a pain to make, I just know it. At 4,000, I will include the ERAM video game. It'll be a minor extension to the back of the green room. At 5,000, I will also include the mic room. You know which room. It's basically just going to be the mic room with the mic figures and the board. I will not be including the undisguised versions, purely because those are just generic henchmen, and I'm not making generic henchmen for my own sanity. At 6,000 supporters, I will be including Elena and Lanino's room, which is basically just the TV room. Reason it's so far out is because it's kind of a bland room, and I need a middle goal somewhere. Sorry. Now you might be wondering, when are we going to get characters like Swatch or the Task Manager? At 7,000 supporters, I'm going to create a Swatch Cafe. It's going to be not the same one. I'm going to make a new design for this. It's sort of based around Queen's Mansion. Kind of. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be a more cyberified version of the cafe. And that's where I'm going to include Swatch, the stage, and the Task Manager, because it's a cat bar now, and everyone loves cat bars. At 8,000 supporters, I will include the sort of training room that Rouse first teaches you how to train. Right next to it is going to be the Great Door, even though I know there's technically a segment after that before the Great Door, but this is more for the sake of having the Great Door somewhere, and being able to have an excuse to create some more generic, yet not entirely generic characters, like the Addisons or that one caterpillar thing, you know, stuff like that. And then at 9,000 supporters, I will add Gerson Boom's study, because I know everybody loves Gerson Boom, and though he may be dead, he is alive in our hearts and in this marketable Lego form. So we're gonna add him in. I don't know if he violates Fangamer's rules of, like, we're not gonna make any lighteners, because he's technically a darkener, but he's also technically a lightener, and so it's a weird middle ground. The game treats him like a darkener with the fact that he only exists within the Dark Fountain. He's technically dead, and he has a colored-in sprite when he talks, so I would assume that he's technically a darkener, and that he's okay to have Fangamer merch, but who am I to know? And then finally, at 10,000 supporters, I will include the Roaring Knight. I know that's not a prize most people want for 10,000, but 10,000 I've already gotten the set completed anyways, so might as well. I was trying to think of who else I could include for that, but it's really a matter of, like, it's 10,000, it's already over, what else am I gonna add? If there's somebody that I'm missing, that I've forgotten, that you desperately need to see added into one of these sets, let me know. Tell me what I'm missing that really should be included, and I'll consider adding it as a stretch goal. There's a lot of space in between that I can work with, and there's some stretch goals that could probably be changed out for other things, because they're just not very good. So, if you have a better idea, if you have another idea in general, if there's something you want me to add, let me know down in the comments. But this video should be uploaded at the same time as the set being uploaded onto LEGO Ideas, meaning the set is live now, so what are you waiting for? Go support the set right now. The link is down in the description, as well as a link to my Discord server, so if you'd like to talk to me, or you'd like to interact with other people who watch my content, with like 2 other people, feel free to join the Discord server. If you enjoyed this set, if you enjoyed any of this, feel free to like the video, feel free to subscribe, but at the very least, I beg of you, if you made it this far, go support the set on LEGO Ideas. It is free to make a LEGO account. Please, I beg of you, I need as much support as I can get. I would love to see this set become reality. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Thank you so much for your support, which I'm sure I've all but guaranteed at this point. And I'll see you later.